45 years ago, I walked into my own living room and found my wife on the couch with a man I thought was my friend. I still remember the look on her face. Not guilt, not shame, just irritated that I'd come home early. That night I left, drove to my son's baseball game, and cheered like nothing had happened. I never told him what I'd just seen. I raised him alone after that. And this morning, fixing an old radio in my garage, I heard a love song that brought it all back. Not the anger, not the betrayal, but what it taught me about love. My name is George, and I turned 81 last month. My son Peter brought me a chess set, hand-carved. The pieces weighted just right. He remembered I used to play in tournaments when he was a boy. That's the thing about Peter. He holds on to details. His mother never had that skill. I live in a small house outside Pittsburgh now, the kind with a front porch and neighbors who wave but don't linger. I like it that way. I spend my mornings in the garage restoring old radios. Not because I need them, but because the work keeps my hands busy and my mind quiet. This morning I was soldering a connection on a 1957 Philco when a station crackled to life. Some old love song from the 50s. And for no reason I can explain, I stopped working. Just sat there on my stool listening, remembering. Her name was Evelyn, and for 16 years she was my wife. I met Evelyn in 1965. I was 23, just out of the Army, working at a garage in Cleveland. She was 20, a waitress at a diner near the shop. I'd come in every morning for coffee and eggs, and she'd bring them with a smile that made the whole day brighter. She had dark hair, brown eyes, and a way of looking at you like you were the only person in the room. We married in 1967. Small ceremony, her mother's backyard. I wore a suit I couldn't really afford. She wore a dress her grandmother made. We were young and broke and absolutely sure that love was enough to fix everything. For a while it was. We had Peter in 1969. He came out red-faced and screaming, and I held him in the hospital and promised I'd never let anything bad happen to him. I meant it. I meant it the way only a 27-year-old who doesn't know anything yet can mean something. I worked double shifts at the garage. Evelyn stayed home with Peter. We bought a little house in Parma on a street with sidewalks and elm trees. Saturday mornings I'd take Peter to the park. Sunday evenings Evelyn would cook pot roast, and we'd eat at the kitchen table like a picture from a magazine. Those years felt solid, felt real. I thought we were building something permanent. Then Dennis came along. Dennis was a salesman, sold industrial equipment to factories around Cleveland. He started coming to the garage to get his truck serviced, and somehow he and I got to talking. Friendly enough. He was a few years older, married, had 2 kids. We'd grab a beer sometimes after work. I thought he was my friend. He started showing up at the house, dropping off extra tickets to Indians games, offering to help Evelyn with something heavy while I was at work. I didn't think anything of it. That's what friends do, right? But Evelyn changed. Little things at first. She started dressing nicer on weekdays when she had no reason to go anywhere. She'd be on the phone in the kitchen, voice low, and when I'd walk in, she'd hang up fast. She stopped asking about my day, stopped sitting next to me on the couch at night. I asked her once if something was wrong. She said I was imagining things. She said I worked too much and didn't pay enough attention. She said maybe the problem was me. I believed her. That's the part that still stings. I believed her. June 1978. I remember because Peter had a baseball game that evening. I left work early to surprise him, drove straight to the field. But I forgot my glove in the garage, so I swung back home. Dennis's truck was in the driveway. I sat in my car for a minute, told myself it was nothing. Maybe he needed to borrow a tool. Maybe he was just saying hello. I walked up to the house and used my key and walked inside. They were in the living room, not even hiding, on the couch where we watched TV together, where Peter did his homework, where we'd sat 1,000 nights pretending everything was fine. I don't remember what I said. I remember Evelyn's face, not guilt, not shame, something worse, irritation, like I'd interrupted something inconvenient. I left, got back in my car, drove to Peter's game and sat in the bleachers and watched him play third base like nothing had happened. He hit a double that game. I cheered. I don't know how. That night, Evelyn tried to explain, said it was a mistake, said she was lonely, said I was never home, said Dennis made her feel seen. All the words people say when they've been caught and need to make it sound like someone else's fault. I told her to leave. She said, "Where would I go? This is my house too." I said, "I don't care where you go, just go." She went to her mother's. The divorce took a year. Evelyn wanted Peter, fought for him. But the judge saw through it. I got custody. She got weekends, then every other weekend, then less and less as the years went on. She moved to Florida eventually, married Dennis, then divorced him, then married someone else. Peter saw her twice after she left. Once at 16, once at his college graduation. That was it. I raised that boy alone. Worked the garage, came home, made dinner, helped with homework. I wasn't perfect. I was tired most of the time. But I showed up. Every game, every parent-teacher conference, every night he needed someone to talk to, I showed up. After Evelyn, I told myself I was done. No more marriage, no more trusting someone with that much of myself. I dated here and there, nothing serious. I wasn't going to let anyone close enough to hurt me again. Then, when I was 55, I met Diane. She was 53, a widow. Her husband had died 3 years earlier, and she still carried that loss in a way that made her careful with people. We met at a hardware store, of all places. She was trying to reach a box on the top shelf. I helped her. She thanked me. We talked for 20 minutes in the paint aisle. Diane was nothing like Evelyn. She was quiet, steady. She didn't need me to be anything except who I was. We took it slow. Coffee, dinner, walks in the park. 2 years before I proposed. 2 years before I finally let myself believe that love could be safe. We had 12 years together, 12 good years. We traveled, we gardened. We sat on this porch and watched the world go by. She made me laugh. She made me feel like I wasn't just surviving anymore. Then she got sick. Cancer. 14 months from diagnosis to the end. I held her hand every day, told her I loved her every night. And when she went, I thought I would go with her. After Diane passed, people told me I'd find someone else, that I was still young enough, 67, what a joke. My son worried. His wife set me up with her aunt. I went on a few dates, nice women, kind women, But every time I sat across from one of them, I felt it. The weight of pretending, the weight of knowing I'd already had what mattered most. Gloria was one of them, widow, 68, smart as hell. We had dinner for 6 months, concerts, long drives on Sunday afternoons. She was wonderful. She deserved someone who could love her without ghosts in the room. One night she looked at me and said, "George, I think we should talk about where this is going." And I sat there looking at her across the table, and I realized I couldn't do it. Couldn't marry her. Couldn't pretend. I cared about her, but I didn't love her. Not the way I loved Diane. I told her that night. She understood. She cried. I cried. We both knew it was right. That was 14 years ago. I haven't dated since. People ask if I'm lonely. Sometimes. But loneliness is honest. It doesn't pretend. It doesn't promise things it can't deliver. I've got my mornings in the garage, my radios, my soldering iron. I've got Peter and his family who come for Sunday dinner every week. I've got poker with the guys on Thursdays. I've got my health mostly, my peace completely. This morning, sitting in the garage with that old Philco crackling, I thought about Evelyn. Not with anger, that faded years ago. Not with regret exactly, just acknowledgement. She was who she was. I was who I was. We weren't what either of us needed. I thought about how different my life could have been if she'd been different, if she'd chosen us, if she'd been the kind of person who stays, but she wasn't. And I spent 40 years building something better anyway, raising a son who shows up, loving a woman who loved me back completely, finding peace in a life that could have broken me. Here's what I know now that I didn't know then. Love isn't about finding someone who never hurts you. That person doesn't exist. Love is about finding someone who hurts you and stays anyway, who works through it, who chooses you even when choosing you is hard. Evelyn didn't choose me. Diane did. Every single day for 12 years. And somewhere along the way, I learned to choose myself, to stop waiting for someone else to complete me, to find enough in the quiet mornings, the soldering iron, the Sunday dinners with people who matter. At 81, I don't need another marriage. I need what I've got. A son who remembers my chess games, a garage full of old radios, and the memory of a woman who held my hand until the very end. That's enough. More than enough. If you're listening to this and you're young or middle-aged or old enough to know better, ask yourself one honest question. Are you staying because you love them or because you're afraid of being alone? Because being alone isn't the worst thing. Losing yourself is. The Philco crackled and faded. I turned it off, put down my soldering iron, and went inside. Called Peter. Told him the chess set was perfect. Told him I loved him. He said he loved me too and he'd see me Sunday. I hung up the phone and looked at the photograph on my shelf. Diane and me on our wedding day. Her in blue. Me in a suit that finally fit. Both of us grinning like we'd won something. I smiled, and that was enough.